and understanding from whence they came, how to deal with them. And you have to carry and consider them in the most appropriate manner. That's what's upon us. That's what's upon you. Okay? If you claim to be Salafi, if you claim to be from the people of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, if you claim to be on the Sunnah, then the teacher of the people of the Sunnah of our era, Sheikh bin Baz, said that we have to consider whatever that person did in the most appropriate manner. There's a condition. There's a condition. And the condition, وَإِنْ خَالَفَهُ فِي رَأْيِ, even if he differs with his opinion, right? And مَا لَمْ يَتَّضِحْ مِنَ الْمُخَالِفِ تَعَمَّدُ مُخَالِفَتِهِ فِي الْحَقِّ, or مُخَالِفَةُ الْحَقِّ. He says, as long as it does not become clear, this is the condition, as long as it does not become clear that that person that's doing that act is openly opposing the Sunnah. Openly opposing, when I say the Sunnah, I should clarify, the dalil, the proof. Maybe that person doesn't know the proof. But it has to be clear that this person is openly opposing the truth. And he says, Wallahu waliyyu tawfiq. And he said, and Allah is the wali, He's the friendly protector, and He's the source of all of our success. This is the end of Sheikh bin Baz's, words. And this is our foundation. This is our foundation from which we start. All that I just said was the foundation from which we start. So what do we learn? We learn first and foremost that when we see ikhtilaf, we don't jump up and bare our chests and pull our gats. You know? We don't do that. We first have to know, do you know the Sharia? Let's say someone comes in and does something and you consider it bid'ah. How are you going to consider it bid'ah if you don't know the madhab of Imam Malik? You don't know the madhab of Imam Abu Hanifa. You don't know the madhab of Hanbali. You don't know no madhab, Imam Shafi'i or anything like that. You just know what you learned 20 minutes in Islam or 20 years in Islam, but you didn't study. You just followed what your village did back home, or you just followed what the brother said there, but you don't know what the other things that might be acceptable. And you want to cause a bunch of fitna because you think that other person is off. One time back in the days, I saw a brother do something. I said, Akhi, didn't you hear what Sheikh Al-Albani said? He said, yes, but did you hear what Sheikh bin Baz said? I said, no. He said, shut up then. I was like, subhanAllah. I had to shut up. You know what I'm saying? Because he's right. I heard what Al-Albani said, but I didn't hear what bin Baz said. You know? So I can't speak unless you know what's going on. And who put you up there to do that anyway? Did someone appoint you to say this is your job? No. What you've been appointed to do is to save yourself and your family. That's the priority. Save yourself and your family. This is our foundation. Let's start practicing it. Let's go down. So he says here, this is my speech here after I had wrote what the Sheikh said. I said, so as long as a Muslim is following the correct evidence and has the desire to follow the Sunnah properly, there is no harm in following any of the Imams when, or as long as it is, as the Muslim is following the correct dalil. Oh, sorry. I must have made a mistake here. When it comes to the rules of fiqh, in the case of the ordinary Muslim who is not educated in fiqh or in any madhab, then he has to go to somebody he trusts. Let's go down. I messed up my writings. That's why I said don't put this on the board. Go down some more, please. Keep going. Okay, one of the things I was saying is that the problem comes when people are fanatical. When they become extremists towards one type of thing and they don't want to leave something else, and even though the proof says it. So we go into some of the questions. The shuyukh were asked, is it obligatory, and you can put this on the board because this is from the internet. It says, is it obligatory to follow a particular madhab? The question goes, is it mandatory for a Muslim to follow a specific madhab? Maliki, Hanbali, Hanafi, etc. If it is so, what madhab is the best? Is it true that Abu Hanifa's madhab is the most followed in the Muslim world? And then it goes on to answer. Reason why we're going through this question, we're going through these questions once and for all to clear up all the questions about following a madhab as we start off in fiqh. Because when we go through this, we are not following a madhab. We are not going through a particular method. Rather, we're following what's called al-wajiz, the book that has the evidence of the hadith and the Quranic and hadith evidences from Dr. Abdul-Azim al-Badawi, hafidhahullah. And it's concise, and it doesn't hold to anybody's madhab, but it holds to what? A dalil. So as long as we follow the dalil, then we straight. And that's what we want to establish. And that dalil may follow this madhab and that madhab, but most of it 70% of all the madhab agree. So we shouldn't be all this, what is it called? Not racism, but tribalism. We all stuck to, I want to be called this name. Be Muslim. Okay? Be Muslim and follow the Sunnah. Okay? So, he says here, Alhamdulillah, it is not obligatory for a Muslim to follow any particular madhab as long as among these four. He doesn't have to stick to these four. People vary in their level of understanding and ability to derive rulings from the evidence. Same thing we spoke about. This statement is built on what Sheikh bin Baz mentioned. So once we read enough, we'll see where all this comes to the same thing. So it says people are varying their level of understanding and ability to derive rulings from the evidence. There are some for whom it is permissible to follow, make taqleed. Some people, it is permissible for them to make taqleed. My daughters, they make taqleed with everything I tell them to do. They don't know necessarily the evidences. Sometimes I tell them the evidence. Sometimes I did not tell you to do this. What are they going to say? What's the proof? Oh, man. They might get smacked. Because sometimes it might be time for me to tell them the proof, but sometimes it might be do what I said. Right now, and I'll teach you when we get in class. You understand? So there are some who are permissible to make taqleed. And indeed, it may be obligatory in their case. Okay? Indeed, it may be obligatory in their case. There are others who can only follow the Sharia evidence. What are we talking about? Those who can only follow Sharia evidence. You are talibul ilm. You went and you studied fiqh. You studied usul al-waraqat at some level. You studied and you learned these principles. Now you just can't take what anybody says. You gotta do what you learned. Now all that work you did, now you gotta do something with it. You can't take it back. You have to study and find the issue. So it says, in the fatwa of Lajna ad-Da'ima, I only try to take my fatwa from the Lajna ad-Da'ima in certain type of issues. In issues that affect the whole world, it is important where you get a fatwa from. The Lajna Da'ima is the standing committee. This is like the Supreme Court in the Muslim world. It's not any one person's decision. Rather, it's a bunch of shuyukh, senior scholars, who sit together and determine these issues. It's totally different than getting a fatwa from one person. Do you understand my point? So it says, question, what is the ruling on following one? They were asked. The Lajna, the Supreme Court, was asked, and they said, what is the ruling on following one of the four madhabs in all cases and situations? Okay, the committee replied, Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulih al-Kareem wa alihi wa ashabihi ajma'een. He said, first, the four madhabs are named after the four imams, namely Abu Hanifa, Malik, Shafi, and Ahmed. Okay? So that's what they're named after. Secondly, these imams learned fiqh. What is fiqh here? We're meaning law, the Islamic law, like the law of the land, the law of our life, from the Quran and Sunnah. And they are mujtahideen in this regard, meaning they've gone to the level where they couldn't find a proof. They made ijtihad. They made jihad, finding out what was right, where there was no clear evidence. The mujtahid either gets it right, in which case he will have two rewards, the reward for his ijtihad and the reward for getting it right. Or he will get it wrong, in which case he will be rewarded for his ijtihad and will be forgiven for his mistake. Same principle we dealt with in the beginning, right? Third, so here they're dropping down a principle. Understand how they're writing this. They made a point. The first point is that there is a named after these four people. There's a principle in there. We aren't told to follow no people, right? Except for Allah, His Messenger, and those appointed of you in authority, if they follow the Quran and Sunnah. That's what we get from that ayat from Quran. It says, Atiyullah wa Atiyu Rasul. The order is told, Atiyullah wa Atiyu Rasul. And then it's wa uli amri minkum. And it doesn't say, wa Atiyu uli amri minkum. The ulama say, it doesn't say, and obey those who point out in authority with the same wording, because theirs is conditional to following the proof. Okay? To having dalil. So it says, secondly, these people, okay, thirdly, the one who is able to derive rulings from the Quran should take from them like those who came before him. It is not right for him to follow blindly, to make taqleed, when he believes the truth is somewhere else. Rather, he should follow that which he believes to be the truth, and it is permissible for him to follow in matters which he is ignorant, where he doesn't know, he's unable to come to a conclusion based on the Quran and the Sunnah, and he needs guidelines concerning a particular issue. Didn't I just say that?